Radio Free Skaro!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 886. I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Erika in Edmonton.
Erika is here because Chris cannot be here this week, but he was there last week on an episode that we totally didn't pre-record over the New Year's break.
Not at all, no sir.
So we've this episode's a big old catch-up of all the news that happened over the past week and a little bit, because we didn't do an episode really last week, apart from the Timelash and the Knock Knock commentary, because we knew there wasn't going to be much news, and because news outlets take a break for that time mostly, and so here we are.
As someone who works in the media, it's a nightmare because for a week you're like, I can't get an interview with anybody. I gotta really stretch on this one.
Oh yes, yeah. This is why notable outlets sometimes just take a break. Anytime I sort of see, let's look back at the year in review, it says, nope, I'm not reading something that was written in early December. That just relives the whole year that we want to forget. But it's a new year now. It's 2023. There's talk of obviously Doctor Who on this podcast. A new Doctor Who magazine came out, and there's always stuff in Doctor Who magazine now that the makers of the show want to talk to it. There's Gallifrey One. There's Blu-ray news, all sorts of stuff. And Erika's here too, because you have more time to talk about Doctor Who now, because Verity is officially on hiatus as of this past week.
Yes, it's true. Yeah, if you want the details, go and listen to the most recent episode of Verity, which will, I guess, stay the most recent episode of Verity for some undisclosed amount of time. Undisclosed because it is literally unknown. But yes, I decided I needed just a break, break, because it is just... As you know, Stephen,
I know,
doing a weekly podcast for a long period of time is basically like having a part-time job, and sometimes it's not so part-time. And because I have been the one that, I gave up editing a couple of years ago and had you start doing that.
That's true.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and I stopped being on literally every episode of the podcast a couple of years ago. So I've been slowly trying to offload some things, but between all the rest of the stuff, the scheduling and across, 5 time zones is a lot. So I wanted to take a little bit of a break, and as a whole, we decided that's a good chance to retool, to just sort of decide, what is the future of Verity? Because we had 10 years.
10 years.
10 years in this January.
Yeah.
So yeah, everybody else basically, because I'm taking a break, is gonna decide.
I'm driving the bus and I'm parking here, and so
everybody else, get out. There's a nice picnic table. Yeah. Have a seat, have a chat, decide what you want to do going forward, and then so Verity may actually come back before I am back on Verity, which would be absolutely fine with me.
Right.
And in fact, I hope it does, because I feel like I need a longer break than I want Verity to be taking. But that's up to them. So yeah, I do have time to breathe. I mean, I'm going to miss talking to them,
right?
But I'm not going to miss the podcast itself. I think for a while, I need some time.
Yeah, and but I mean, what four? Only Tansy's not going to be at Galley, right?
Correct.
And then you're all going to be at virtually at Console Room coming up. In a couple weeks from now?
Yeah, it's actually the weekend of January 20th, 21st, and 22nd. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Console Room, which physically is taking place in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. But they are also doing a virtual convention and having some guests that are virtual, and you can do virtual memberships as well. And yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. It's kind of a nice way to prove to the world that Verity is not done. Like, this is not Doctor Who after Survival being like, yeah, we're on hiatus. And then it doesn't come back. No, we are literally, in theory, all 6 of us are going to be around for our panel, which the time for it has not been announced yet, but keep an eye on the console room website for that. But so far, it looks like we're going to be able to get all 6 of us, which will be nice.
That never happens even for a podcast recording.
I know. So yeah, it'll just proving to the world, we're not done. We're just taking a break, and it'll be, I'm not missing that. Like, that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, you can, if you're interested in attending that convention virtually, I think it's only $35 for the Cyberman level virtual membership. So that's
Can I
a
just
pretty cool thing.
heap praise on and hope that this continues? Like, when I went to CanCon, they did a virtual track and a in-person track, and I was there in person. But the nice thing is you just jump in your hotel room and watch a virtual thing and then jump back out and do like, it's great because it gives options for people who can't go, which I've done. I did with the Nebulas last year, because although I think they were all online anyway, but this year it's going to be online and virtual. And I'll sign up for, I think if you do, in person and virtual. And if you are in person, I think you automatically get virtual. It's a great way to continue because it lets more people participate. And if you're even there, it's great because you can just take a break in your room and still be at the con.
Yeah, I remember.
Or not, if whatever you want to do.
I remember the very first time I went to Dragon Con, and this was many years ago. And they at the time they didn't have like a virtual Dragon Con option, but they did have their Dragon Con actual TV channel where they had you could just turn on a TV channel in any of the hotel rooms and watch a like specific featured panel, or they had little like skits and like fake commercials and stuff in between things, which were actually surprisingly well produced.
Really?
Yeah, wow. It was funny stuff. And I just thought that was really amazing, and now we have moved toward that on whole. So I'm very pleased that Console Room, which is a convention that I would still love to be able to go to in person someday. I have wanted to for a long time. But it's really exciting to be part of, a featured guest as the virtual part of it. So yeah. Cool.
And they asked you before the hiatus. So
yes, they had no idea this was coming. So I sort of felt like, oh no, are we screwing Console Room over by taking our break right now? And then I was like, no, I'm going to spin this. I'm going to spin this to say that the Console Room, this is going to be your only thing that you can do to see new Verity in, during the month of January after our podcast. So yeah, there we go. It's exclusive Verity content for Console Room members, I guess, unless they let us record it and put it on the podcast feed. I don't know. I have not thought about that.
Right.
I'm not doing it.
The part I found funny at CanCon was what they do is they pre-bake them. They do all their their Zoom or whatever, and then it's a pre-recorded thing, and then people are on a chat room discussing it. But some people who were on those pre-recorded things were also at the convention, so I'd go up and talk to somebody about the panel they'd done. For them, it was a month ago, and so then I realized, I'm on the opposite side of this when people go, hey, that story you wrote 3 weeks ago. And I'm like, oh, what are you talking about? I've long since forgotten about that. I'm doing that to them now. Oops. So sorry.
Yeah. Or like when listeners say, oh, that commentary, you said this in the commentary.
Exactly.
We did that back in May. I have no memory
exactly.
of insert any episode of this podcast.
This will be, as far as I understand, this will be like a live, I don't know if it's Zoom or what technology they're using, but a live thing so that and we might even do some questions and answers and stuff. So it'll be happening there. So if you ask a question, we could actually answer it in real time and not say, oh, we recorded that a month ago. I have no idea.
Why did you resign? It's what it is. It's a giant inflatable thing chases you across a beach. Well, that'll be fun in a couple weeks' time, and of course, Gallifrey One, they'll be there with the In Defense of returns.
In Defense of is coming back.
Yep, which is after 3-year hiatus, obviously, because it wasn't it wasn't there last year. Along with, as announced, we're recording this on Saturday morning, just announced Bonnie Langford makes her return to Gallifrey One for the first time since 2001. Many attempts have been made to try to get her back. She almost was there last year, but she's back. She's back this year. Bonnie Langford, Mel herself, who's great. And she was, of course, in the last scene of Power of the Doctor, somehow made it back to Earth in the intervening moments between Dragonfire and then.
She's a very resourceful lady. I have no doubt that she could get back to Earth and in the right time frame to make that happen.
Yeah.
Even though, is that actually the time frame that she came from?
I don't know.
don't know.
She was a computer programmer from Pease Pottage, probably
Okay.
from 1986.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
For a
None of
companion
that
who
makes
doesn't
any
have like
sense.
an on-screen, debut, it's doing whatever. But also announced Stephen Noonan, who now, of course, plays the first Doctor in Big Finish Audio. Joseph Lidster. Joe Lidster's done a lot of Doctor Who stuff, writing-wise, over the years. Peter Angelides, Mickey Lewis, and all the guests you can see on the Gallifrey One website. That is just over a month away now.
Holy moly.
Now it feels like it's starting to run. You and I, Erica, bought our tickets a long time ago and our flights a long time ago. And the hotel Hunger Games happened a long time ago too.
Yep.
So it feels like it's been set in for a while, but I see, people like saying, oh, we booked our flights and this and so it's starting to ramp up a little bit.
On
but
Christmas Day.
Christmas Day, yeah, you waited a
Merry
while
Christmas to you.
to book them. So
Indeed.
it's all exciting. Also, there's the full the TARDIS Talks lineup is there as
Yes.
well. All the speakers from there were also announced. That's something that I've only ever managed to dip in and out of over the course of the years that it's been on.
I think you'd really, really like that style of presentation because it's kind of like a specific deep dive into one aspect of Doctor Who. And I mean, obviously not all of them are going to appeal to you as much, but that type of presentation I think would really work for you as a consumer of media information. It's basically an entire long live action playlist of VAM.
That's what I was gonna say. It's live VAM. It's live VAM. I know. There's like Stacey Smith is there doing Doctor Who and the Epidemics of Death. Stacey was on this show March, literally like the first Sunday after the entire world shut down, because she had written a thing about Doctor Who and the Silurians a while back, and we talked about that because that's kind of her gig, as she's the keynote address, and like that's fascinating and awful at the same time. Doctor Who and epidemics and stuff, but
But I mean, yeah, her literal job is professor of knowing how to mathematically model disease spread and such.
Yeah,
many other things.
Yeah, there's a whole host of interesting topics on there. It'll be on the Friday afternoon for a 2-hour block for what it's worth. Time and room yet to be announced, but. So there's, stuff's falling into place. The full schedule doesn't come out until a couple weeks beforehand, which is a couple weeks from now. And of course, we'll have our standard Gallifrey One preview show the week leading up to it, which is always a lot of fun. Where we go through all the things and talk about what we won't be able to get to because we'll probably be doing other things. But excitement ahoy. By the way, tickets are still on sale, but they're at 95% capacity right now. So if you want to go, and you do want to go, get your tickets soon. I'm not looking forward to the air travel. I will say that.
No.
I've done air travel in the last a fair bit of it actually for work, and it's fine. Like I just keep my mask on the whole time and stare at people who don't.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That's true. They don't require them on. I think I'll be double masking.
I always do it work anyway.
Here's the thing. I flew, I think it was Air Canada, and they came and said it's not required, but please respect people who decide to wear masks or otherwise. So unlike Delta, where they're like, Yahoo! Actually whipping out a cowboy hat they didn't have a second ago, going, no masks for anybody, and then mask shaming occurring on a flight. Like, we're not America, thank God.
We're proper, honest, polite Canadians, damn it.
Who have to fly through LAX.
Yeah, we have to thrive. Yeah, that's true. LAX, yeah. Anyway, masking and proof of vaccination is still a part of a Gallifrey One. So
thank God, or I would not be going.
Yeah, have those things ready. That's what made, despite you, Erica, getting COVID somewhere in LA.
Yeah, I suspect the airport on the way back was probably the culprit, just based on the timing. But who knows?
Yeah, who knows? But it made for a much more comfortable experience. I think last year.
When I went to CanCon, same thing. It was all masked. You had to prove it. It was fine. Everybody was fine. We all just kind of got on and with doing it.
Yeah,
big deal.
Very exciting. Gallifrey One. It's hard to believe that it's coming up, but it is, and it's going to be a grand time. I mentioned off the top, Doctor Who Magazine episode issue 586 came out. There's an interview with Millie Gibson there. There's several stuff with Russell T Davies, including an interview with him, Phil Collins, and Jane Tranter Julie Gardner. I think that's it. I think those are the 4 people on the call, as well as
was that all?
That was that all? Just the 4 people responsible for making Doctor Who. They also confirmed that Mark Tonderai, we mentioned this last week, is indeed shooting Block 2 for shooting Gatwa series. I know. I just watched Ghost Monument and Rosa in my 31 Days of Jodie, and my God, it looked.
It's a good one.
Those episodes look so good. So I'm very happy that he's back. But it was interesting, though, because Russell T Davies, it's funny reading between the lines of all the stuff that he sort of lays down in this, because, he said in the previous letter from the showrunner about how in December of 2020, after they were all watching The Runaway Bride on Twitter and got all happy and, let's just contact the BBC and see what they would think. And the BBC didn't get back to them for like 3 months. And then in March, they said, okay, here's the deal.
March 25th. That's my sister's birthday.
March 25th. That's right. Yep. 2021, they basically said, okay, we not only do we want you to come back and do like 3 episodes, we want you to do the show now. And we are looking into a international streaming partner as well. So like what happened in those 3 months in between December and March, basically, it's just like
Christmas miracle.
It's like the BBC sort of says, here's the direction we want to go in. Let's make it happen. Yeah.
I mean, maybe just the mere idea that somebody like RTD, who had the vision and tenacity to bring the show back in the first place, was even remotely interested in coming back to it just for a little bit, got enough people at the BBC talking, like, maybe this is it, maybe this is the future, maybe this is the direction we go. Because I have to imagine they didn't know beforehand, like they didn't already have somebody in mind. They weren't sure what they were going to do, and they were in the process of trying to figure it out. And here comes like an angel from heaven, like a robot angel from
Voyage of the Damned.
No.
And saying like, hey, this would be a fun thing for us to do for a little while. And then that got enough people talking at the BBC, and tongues were wagging and meetings were had behind closed doors, and people were like, yeah, that's a great idea. No, we bring it back and we just have them keep doing it. We relaunch the brand. We got to go to streaming, like, because this is the streaming world, and Radio Free Skaro, which I'm sure we all listen to religiously, keep saying that you need to do streaming. Yep. And yeah, so when they finally got back to him, it had just taken on a life of its own, and was like, yeah, we don't want you to just come back to do Tennant and Tate specials. We want you on the show, on the case.
Yeah, I think about like that time. I mean, you say closed doors. It wasn't closed doors. It was private Zoom rooms, because everyone was still basically working from home at that point.
True. Closed bedroom doors.
And that, the depths of the pandemic, it's when all this was sort of happening. Interesting time. I want to I can't wait to see the Blu-ray documentary of this time in the show's history, to see what happened in those 3 months in between. But it's interesting stuff, though. They there's a great round table with them all, and where they say Russell T Davies sort of clarifies the comment about the budget. Not being $10 million an episode.
So please don't get your hopes up, people, that much. I don't want a $10 million an episode Doctor Who, frankly.
This is Doctor Who. Like, we're used to it looking like absolute garbage and loving it for that, or looking very good at what they got. We don't need it to be $10 million. Come on, do we need giant dragons and what have you? No, we do.
No, we don't.
I think it's looked
cool, but whatever.
Fantastic for quite a while.
Yeah,
and they've had a shoestring budget, and they have made that look fantastic. So.
I thought so
restrictions
too.
make things better.
Yes.
Having too much money gives you The Hobbit, not Lord of the Rings. Although I like Rings of Power, so who the hell am I to talk?
Yeah, they only spent $250 million on that. So for 8 episodes. Also was because Benjamin Cook, who did the roundtable thing, sort of said, like, what about fans who might be concerned if Disney has like a larger than usual say in where Doctor Who goes from now on. And Russell T Davies used the wonderful example of saying, if anybody who's worried about sort of like changing the direction of Doctor Who, we're about to broadcast the name Mavic Chen on TV for the first time since 1966. So yes, we're gonna be okay.
It's still the same show.
I'm I'm willing to bet that's just an offhand remark and not
100%.
anything to do with actual Mavic. Like, although I'm sure in the interim between now and November, frothing fan madness will take over, and they'll be convinced and then disappointed that Mavic Chen isn't showing up.
Yeah, I would be shocked to my core if Mavic Chen actually showed up, and especially the way I feel like RTD is so careful about the way that he says things because he's a writer, and did he say broadcast or transmit the name Mavic Chen or the words Mavic Chen? I don't remember the exact quote, as opposed to saying he didn't say we're putting him on screen. Transmit the words Mavic Chen. Yeah, so I'm guessing it's going to be the Doctor name dropping someone that they have met previously, and that's a great name drop.
That's a name drop.
But if they do have Mavic Chen up, which they won't, but let's say they did, use that pretend 10 million budget and get Max von Sydow before he passes on to be Mavic Chen.
Max von Sydow did die in the past year.
Whatever. Did he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he died.
Resurrect him then. I don't care. $10 million. Come on.
$10 million.
Digital. Grand Moff Target.
We need to get, if we're gonna get a white guy to dress up as a Chinese person, let's go back to the Flash Gordon one. All right.
Here's what you do.
Here we go.
Max von Sydow.
All right.
You take the Grand Moff Tarkin digital guy from Rogue One. You sort of morph him a bit, not into Mavic Chen. Then you put a really obvious fake beard on a CG character. Okay. There, done. Mavic Chen CG. Amazing. Revolutionary. Incredible.
Let's just bring back John Bennett and do a remake of Talons of Wing Chiang too, and dress him up in yellow face, and let's just do all the yellow face.
Russell T Davies started this by saying Mavic Chen. So
I know. Maybe you get a wonderful Asian actor to play Mavic Chen now.
Yeah,
because that was the intention. That was the intention back in 1965 with Mavic Chen. We got to paper over that fact, but
sometimes having missing episodes makes them a lot easier to take.
It's a great performance. I almost see Mavic Chen as like more of a alien kind of, like just the way he holds his. Remember the way he was writing? He like holds the pen between his like index and pinky fingers and stuff, and so I just sort of look at it as a weird alien. But
then again, maybe that was a common way to hold instruments in some other countries on Earth. I don't know.
I don't know either. All right. Also, I didn't mean to start this, people. I'm sorry.
Let's cancel Doctor Who. They're mentioning Mavic Chen again.
But if you're going to have what's his name, Doogie Howser, as previously a problematic character,
potentially,
maybe,
right?
Yeah, just make him German or whatever he is now. Like do the same with Mavic Chen. They're not going to. They're not going to bring him back in any way, really. Anyway, so why are we even arguing about this? Because we're nerds. That's why.
Exactly.
That's what we do.
Yeah, you could just bring him back as an alien.
Or you could bring him back as William Hartnell fluffed in episode 10 of the Doc's Master Plan as Magic Chen, and
there you go.
He's a magician,
a stage magician.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, all that and more. I created a little PDF of just the news bits for this episode of Ready for Skaro. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that just for our reference purposes that I want to get into in that magazine. But it's exciting. It's neat to have like new and fun stuff in Doctor Who magazine about the future of the show. Again, it's neat. It's neat. As you can tell, because we're like 20 odd minutes into this episode, and we're just talking about stuff when it comes to Doctor Who. This show will never die as long as there's stuff to talk about when it comes to Doctor Who. Like this, the Mirror, who are frustratingly accurate when it comes to Doctor Who news. Had an exclusive. Nicola Medvin is the TV editor, and she's written a few of these frustratingly accurate exclusives over the years. And she said that two stories from the 1960s are being animated again, because remember, rather famously, they stopped after Abominable Snowman, which is one of the 5 DVDs that I'm currently working through right now, was the last animated project for BBC and BBC America. Obviously, the funding has kicked in again from somewhere, perhaps Bad Wolf, because this report from the Mirror states that the Smugglers and the Underwater Menace, the episodes 1 and 4 of the Underwater Menace, are being animated for future release. I've heard other rumors that also the Celestial Toymaker is being animated, and perhaps it was already being animated when this whole thing stopped, or like in the works. But these two are indicated as a report. Of course, the linking thing to these is that both of them are from season 4. which would leave only the Highlanders as the only thing not animated. So perhaps there's looking to sort of, close the books on a whole season potentially for
that makes sense.
Future Blu-ray release.
Yeah.
Remember 6 months ago when everybody was convinced there would be no more animations ever again?
No, I know, but apparently it's not Disney Plus. The article states that it's not Disney Plus that has been funding these. So new funding has been arranged, and it's not Disney Plus. So interesting. I look forward to hearing more about this in the weeks
to buying
come.
and not watching these.
Yeah,
which I'm doing with
basically.
the Abominable Snowmen.
Yeah, Abominable Snowman. I watched the documentary on, but have yet to watch the episodes. I'm still working my way. What's taking the back seat, unfortunately, is the season 22 set, which I want to watch, like the talks with Michael Grade and all the other van that was on there. I'm also currently watching, of course, an episode a day. My to the 60th marathon. So I'm in the midst of the Peter Davison era right now, season 19. So I'm watching that off of Blu-ray. Then there's also, I'm watching a Jodie Whittaker episode a day for all of January because there's 31 Jodie Whittaker episodes. So I'm watching 31 of those. And then just this past week, I'm happy to report that the season 2 box set, the William Hartnell season 2 set, which I ordered from the UK, plays perfectly fine on my Xbox One.
Hurrah!
So I've been watching bits of The Crusade because I wanted to watch The Crusade with infotext, and I watched the wonderful documentary Looking for David, all about David Whittaker, which is great on that. And so yeah, I've had 5 different Doctor Who Blu-ray sets or DVDs on the go, basically for the past few weeks. Warren, I have a problem.
Yes. I have a mea culpa because I don't remember if it was on a commentary or if it was on a last episode, but I was razzing you about that, giving you a hard time about how you view this for a filter. Then I realized and apologized off air and said, I just do the same thing with a casserole of 80s and 90s sci-fi films. So am I any better? Not really.
No.
We all have our well, not everybody has filters, but we on this current podcast, we all have our filters
Yes,
that we
absolutely.
But you know what? If you have no filters at all, boy, it would be really difficult. Like if you just literally liked everything and would watch everything, it would be very difficult to pare down and decide what to watch. I would have like just analysis paralysis all the time.
Well, that's the Netflix page, which is why I don't have Netflix anymore because I never watched it. I just scrolled through it. Right. That was my favorite show on Netflix. Scroll through and give up.
Yeah, it's too much choice. Too much. This is why these people are just, Pluto TV. Let's just flip on Pluto TV and let them decide.
That's what I do. I just throw on Plex TV's Doctor Who. Apparently, you can set up your own channels, but it sounded like it was complicated, so I didn't bother. Why do that when I can just fire up Doctor Who and not watch it?
Right
on Plex.
Anyway, I didn't realize this after the fact, well after the fact, because I ordered the season 2 Hartnell set because I was impatient, basically, because there wasn't even a release date in North America, and so I ordered it like not long before it came out in the UK. And then I realized, probably in the US or North America, probably episode 1 of The Chase will be cut like it was on the DVD to remove the Beatles bit. I'm pretty sure that it's actually included on the UK bit because I haven't heard it mentioned otherwise. I haven't got to that yet. But here's the good news, North Americans. Finally, March 28th, we'll see the release of the North American version of the William Hartnell Complete Season 2. Which this is like the only naming thing which actually matches the UK.
That is why it is my favorite. The William Hartnell era on Blu-ray is my favorite era because it is labeled correctly on both sides of the pond.
I'm looking forward to it.
That's the reason, is it? Okay.
It is. It is 100% the reason.
As great as the book is, oh my God, the packaging for the UK version is a wonderful little book, and there's like actual information in it that could very easily be included as a PDF in the North American version. Just saying, it wasn't the first. The Tom Baker season 12 had the book on the PDF form, and they never did it since.
That's weird.
I know, it bugs me. Anyway, the UK packaging is giant.
It's huge.
It's massive, and so
no more of those, please.
No. That's the only one I'm going to get. My patience will have to be stronger in future. But so I'm looking forward to the North American version on March 28th to fit nicely on the show. I'm gonna chop out like 9 DVDs.
And where are those going to go?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to think about what I'm going to do with all the DVDs from all the Doctor Who episodes, because I've ripped them all, so they're just like taking up space.
Yes, they are. Lots of space.
Yeah. Anybody want a whole collection of Doctor Who DVDs?
I mean, probably somebody does.
You want?
Honestly, I'll take them. I don't have.
Whoa,
Warren! This
a
is
light
a
bulb just
shocking
appeared
revelation.
over Stephen's head.
You don't like collecting stuff like
I never
this.
said I'd watch them. I'll just take them.
Okay.
Well,
I'll watch them. I'll watch all the van.
there's a lot of it.
All right. That offer is off the table, dear listeners. Warren will take them. Maybe
Bring them to Galley. I'll take them back with me.
Do you know how much space this takes up? Here's
This might be a if I get to Edmonton at Christmas.
There you go.
I think what will happen, Warren, is one day we'll take a road trip to Vancouver and drive through the mountains.
Okay, sounds good.
We'll bring a Rubbermaid bin full of Doctor Who DVDs
with a bow on top.
Yeah, with a bow.
Beautiful. I'll do it.
Further, continuing my decline into obsession about Doctor Who, going on about 40 odd years now, but this week it really seems to be ramping up. I've been wanting this for years. So, Doctor Who: The Complete History used to come out as like a monthly or I don't know how often they came out, but it was a nice little hardcover bound. Looking into the making of all these Doctor Who episodes, and it only came out in the UK. And it would cost a lot to actually buy the individual volumes. I remember seeing them once in Forbidden Planet when we were there, and I thought, these would be nice. And I always thought, man, if only they ever came out digitally. Well, guess what?
Woohoo!
Issues 1 to 20, which I think takes it through most of the John Pertwee era, are available as a bundle on the Doctor Who magazine app, separate of the actual subscription. It's also on Pocket Mags, where I get a lot of my the Doctor Who magazine additional issues. It's not cheap. It's $160, but it's 20 issues. What's 160 divided? That's $4 an issue. That's not bad, actually, when you put it that way. So yes, I saw that and immediately bought them. So if you like me were looking to get the Doctor Who Complete History in digital form, now's your time. They'll be releasing future sort of bundles like this over the next few months and stuff. So. And I will immediately be getting those as well. And they're all digital.
They don't take up space. Yay!
They take up no space, which is great. So always wanted these. Haven't even looked at them yet because I'm watching 5 different Doctor Who seasons / stories. But here we are. We have a long year of no Doctor Who to work through. So,
almost a year.
No new Doctor Who anyway. But and then after that, it's going to get probably a bit crazy. So... so there we go. Other stuff that's out now. Pre-order for Vorp Volume 5 is available now. It comes out next month. There's a whole I kind of want to get this because
what is Vorp?
Vorp is a magazine mostly about Doctor Who comics and animation and other things like that. But there's a whole thing in this issue about the proposed Nelvana animated version. From like the early 90s. Canada's own Nelvana. I'm intrigued by that because so little has been known about that. And there's even a couple of adaptations in this one. So yeah, pre-order for that. Yes.
Can I just heap praise on Vorp? Every time I see a cover or any of the content within, I'm like, how are they not paying someone an inordinate amount of money? Because the layout is phenomenal. It looks better than most magazines. And presumably they're doing it on a shoestring because it's a fan magazine.
Yeah, it is gorgeous. I'm just scrolling through some of these covers. Wow.
Yeah.
Like they just do a really amazing job. Like it looks great.
They do. Well, perhaps this is why they've only had 5 issues over the course of several years, It's kind of like Nothing at the End of the Lane by Richard Bignell. They put so much into it that it's basically the Stanley Kubrick of magazines,
Yeah, put that on the cover.
Yeah. So links to the show notes to vorp.co.uk to pre-order that. I think it comes out next month, which is February, of course. Also, the 2023 annual for the DWAS, Doctor Who Appreciation Society Celestial Toy Room. That was released over the past couple weeks. That's available in the show notes as well. And what else happened? Is that it? Is that it for stuff? I'll tell you what, I'll mention this stuff because even though it's... There's a lot of audio stuff. There's a lot of stuff.
So much.
A lot of stuff. But the specials, the Series 13 specials have been coming out as well on digital and
soundtracks.
And the soundtracks. Thank you very much. And the CD, the full CD version, comes out next Friday, January 13th. So I've got all the soundtracks on my phone. I don't usually buy the soundtracks physically because it takes up room, of course. Room for giant collections of Doctor Who DVDs that are no longer
soon be in my closet.
Yeah, soon be in your closet somewhere, holding up a TV somewhere anyway. But we'll get to the rest of the audio stuff after our weekly dive into the Timelash, where we look back at this week in history in Doctor Who. We start on January 8th. We recognize the birthday of William Hartnell, born January 8th, 1908.
Wow.
That's
madness.
115 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. But he died. He didn't live to 115.
Well, no.
Didn't do that. But
7 years younger than my grandmother.
yeah, my grandma was born in 1908. Actually, yeah.
Mine was 1901.
1901. Wow.
I don't know when my grandma was
Died
born.
in 92.
No?
So yeah.
I have no idea.
No.
None. Sorry.
Oh.
Steven looks really disappointed in me right now.
Well,
I always find it bizarre that I have a grandmother who was born before flight was invented.
that's true.
Time is weird, man.
Yeah. My great grandma Manker, she as a child traveled across part of the mid United States in a Conestoga covered wagon.
What is that? What is a Conestoga?
Wow.
Like a covered wagon, like Little House on the Prairie.
Right.
Yeah, Conestoga. And toward the end of her life, she was taking flights on jet airplanes.
Madness.
What a lifetime.
Same with my grandmother.
Right?
Yep. Kind of insane.
Yeah, take that, people who were born in the 1600s. Bet you didn't have that kind of
plague-ridden jerks.
Yeah.
Unlike us. Oh, wait a minute.
That acceleration. What else happened January 8th? Well, William Hartnell had to work on his birthday because he was recording episode 9. Oh, no, it was actually, sorry. He didn't have to work. If he was watching Doctor Who, I don't think he was at the Ealing recording. Web Planet was being shot in 1965. They're shooting some Ealing stuff. So he was in Riverside Studio on January 8th, 1965, recording The Romans, Erika's favorite William Hartnell historical, as heard on Lazy Doctor Who.
Haha. So funny.
Comedy rape. Comedy rape. Yay.
Yep.
1960s.
Can't get past it. Sorry.
Yeah. Anyway. Let's see. Anything else jumping out at on January 8th? What do you got, Warren?
I'm specifically taking advantage of the fact that Chris is not here to say the 1972 debut broadcast of Day of the Daleks, definitively and without argument, the best of the Pertwee Dalek stories premieres.
Yeah. Yeah, episode 2 aired on January 8th, 1972. Chris, of course, likes Death to the Daleks, which we have yet to get to.
I haven't seen it yet.
On Lazy Doctor Who.
Yep, never seen it.
Speaking of hiatuses, we've been sort of on an unplanned one for quite a while now.
Yeah, well, now that Verity is on a hiatus, guess what? I have time and space for Lazy Doctor Who.
That's true. Once I'm done watching the 5 different Blu-ray sets of Doctor Who simultaneously, we'll get back to it.
And assuming some other obsession with some weird 1970s British thing doesn't show up.
Well, I haven't watched Quiller yet, which upsets me. So that's
and we both
want
to check out that Dog Leash with Roy Marsden.
Yeah, so there's a new version of it, newish version of Dog Leash.
Yes.
Which is like based on the P.D. James books about this poet / detective or detective.
Yeah, like it's a co-pro with like Channel 5 and like Paramount, Australia, and I don't know. There's money coming in from a bunch of different places, and apparently it's quite good.
Yeah,
I had it recommended to me recently.
Yeah, but it reminded us of it made us dive into research about the fact that they made like a whole bunch of these movies back in the 80s and 90s, starring Roy Marsden.
Roy freaking Marsden of the Sandbaggers.
The Sandbaggers, the best new show that I've seen in the last 5 years.
Same.
And but they're not available. There's a couple episodes on YouTube, but early episodes were shot on Obi videotape, which of course made me want to immediately
he almost hyperventilated when he saw that it was Obi videotape for the early.
Of course he
did.
I did. Not that I'm any better.
I was the one that was hyperventilating because it was Roy Marsden.
Here's my question to you. going back to this thing
me
about
or to
stuff
listeners?
to Erika,
Okay.
is that because I know you're concerned about stuff taking up room.
Uh-huh.
Although understand that in 3 months' time there'll be 9 DVDs replaced by about probably the size of 2.
True.
So there will be space for this. But I did see on Network DVD, the UK company Network, does have all the Dog Leash movies in a set.
Oh, okay.
For purchase.
You know what? I would be fine purchasing them, watching them,
Yeah.
and then being like deciding if I ever wanted to watch them again, and if not, giving them away or selling them.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't mind having media,
Okay.
taking books out from the library. Totally fine because I
Yeah.
can give it back. Guess what? If I don't want this anymore, I can give it back. But
That's true.
I really need to see.
I know. I wonder.
Roy
What,
Marsden.
I wonder how are they cozy murders like Midsummer Murders are? I don't know what.
I don't know anything about it, and I don't want to watch the new show first. I
No,
want to
God,
see.
it doesn't have Roy Marsden in it. There's no OB videotape. I'm pretty sure too. So like, what's the point? Honestly.
So
yeah.
in theme with this,
Right.
if and when this giant tub arrives, you remember I was talking about getting a CRT TV?
Yeah.
I think I would have to
Don't.
put the tub in my closet room here, then put a CRT on top of it, so that if I ever want to watch a DVD, I have to physically lift the CRT off of it. Buy myself a cheapo DVD player, or get one that has a DVD player built in.
Right.
And then also have my Apple TV somehow hooked up to it. And so I
Delightful.
have my CRT worshiping station off on the side, supported by its brothers, the DVD.
I
Wow.
love this. I love everything about it.
You kids out there don't know what we had to go through, and what for some reason we want to go through again.
It's like the
I
people
want to deliberately inconvenience myself.
like the people trading cassette tapes, which was never a good way to capture or
No.
listen to audio, and
No.
yet people are doing it. It's coming back to some extent. And
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a thing.
Trade like audio cassettes are notable.
Audio cassettes.
There are people who
Yep.
insist
Wow.
VHS is a superior viewing method, which it isn't, but neither is
No.
625 line British
No.
TV, but I still do it.
Should we maybe distribute? Are we available on whatever tape network?
Audio cassette.
Yeah, audio cassette. Maybe we should look into it. 2009, interesting thing happened.
Wait, you're skipping right over the recording for Time Flight at Heathrow?
Okay, 82, January 8th, 1982.
Thank you.
Recorded for Time Flight at Heathrow Airport, London, is cancelled
What?
when the Concorde aircraft being provided by British Airways becomes unavailable.
That is such a delightful little piece of just television making history. Like, yes, we have this grand plan to record at Heathrow. Oh, sorry, the airplane is not available anymore. Like, that's the kind of thing that happens. And
Okay. It's amazing that when a super expensive airplane is like, actually, we're going to need that for a flight. So sorry.
it doesn't say what it was needed for. Maybe it wasn't a flight. Maybe it just needed some work or something.
That's true.
Okay,
knows?
anyway, on to whatever you were talking about. I just got excited when I saw the words time.
A time flight. I know.
Flight.
It's rare that it sneaks into the Timelash here, so all better to talk about it. No, in 2009, the production team is informed that a double-decker bus dispatched to the United Arab Emirates for the recording of Planet of the Dead has suffered significant damage after an 18-ton cargo container was inadvertently dropped on it. Allegedly inadvertently dropped on it at the UAE port. The situation is ultimately just savaged through script rewrites. It basically said, oh no, the bus got damaged. That was the extent of the rewrite.
Just like sometimes you lose your Concorde, sometimes you damage your bus. That's life,
That is
right?
words to live by. Sometimes you damage your bus.
Uh-huh.
That was the first HD Doctor Who episode.
Sure was.
On the tail end of Russell T Davies.
You could see every grain of sand.
You really could. Gets everywhere.
I hate it.
Oh dear, no, there's no need for that.
January 9th. What happened January 9th? Anything you want to talk about on January 9th? That a lot of stuff got
Inferno
recorded.
was commissioned.
Inferno was commissioned on January 9th, 1970. That is alarmingly close to the knuckle when it comes to
Wow.
making Doctor Who, given that they're already into broadcast of Spirit from Space, and they're not even writing Inferno yet.
Wow.
I love 1970s television. It's so fly by the seat of your pants. Just wonderful.
Also probably drunk. Also definitely smoking.
Yeah, 100%.
Probably. There was an episode called Child's Prodigy by Alistair
Yes.
Beaton and Sarah Dunnant,
Interesting.
which was rejected I know it was going to be for season 17. There was a complete script written for it.
Has Big Finish done it at this point? Like, I mean, if there's a complete script, that's a much easier thing to adapt potentially.
Probably. I wonder. I mean, I don't know. Don't. I imagine people might contact us about this, but maybe it was. But Alistair Beaton was a colleague of script editor Douglas Adams, and so he was commissioned back in December of. That's fascinating. Commissioned on December 12th, 78, and then rejected less than a month later. But yet a complete script.
That's a fast script. Maybe that's why it was rejected. You wrote it too fast.
I know. This is Douglas Adams. Like, come on, what are you? You're supposed to go blow past your deadlines. I'm Douglas Adams here. This is what you do. And you wrote this thing in like 3 weeks.
He just didn't want to be showed up.
Alistair Beaton's a great name for somebody who wrote a child series of whatever. It just sounds like, oh yes, the famous Alistair Beaton series, the Mice of Fenwick or whatever.
Yeah, Mice of Fenwick. I loved the Mice of Fenwick. They did a wonderful BBC adaptation in the 1990s, I recall, on OB Video. It's on OB Video, yeah.
But it's all paper animation too. So.
Weirdly.
That's true. Moving on to January 10th, on that day in history, a whole bunch of stuff happened. That's our way of saying, I've clicked the link. I'm looking at it through here. Clearance in 1983, we can bounce around a bit, but the first one I saw is clearance is obtained for the inclusion of scenes from Shada in The Five Doctors. This was about, a week and a half after Tom Baker said, nah, I'm not going to be in it. So they immediately leapt to using Shada. So
it worked.
It did work.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like 1984 here. Andrew Smith is commissioned to provide a storyline for the first Sontarans, and I can tell you that absolutely was made into a Big Finish, and it is fantastic.
It's somewhere on that shelf in our room. It's there. As given to us by Andrew Smith himself.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's really, really good.
It's
I loved that story so much. Yeah, I really, 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 really liked it. It may still be my favorite Big Finish.
Wow.
Yep.
Sorry, Liz.
Sorry, Liz.
Liz Miles has written a few.
Yes, I mean she's written some really, really good ones too.
Yeah.
But
not the first Sontarans.
19F Sontarans.
Try that.
I really like Sontarans, you guys. It's a thing.
Did I know that about you?
I don't know.
Oh. Erica likes Sontarans, everyone. So
I'd like to call out another great Andrew Smith triumph, which I can't remember the title of, but it's about the Vord, and the Vord are complete bastards in it. It's so good.
Oh yeah,
they're just so evil. Anyway, I would like to call it 78 and 79. 78 because the best, that's right, the best Key to Time story, Stones of Blood, is David Fisher's commissioned.
That's right, on January 10th, 1978 and 1979.
Pennant Roberts is commissioned to write Aranella, whatever the hell that is. That sounds like a mid-70s movie about a woman in trouble, Aranella. Starring Sybil Shepherd for some reason.
It was initially planned to be in season 17 and was later sort of like maybe considered for season 18. Pennant Roberts, of course, is directed like 6 different Doctor Who stories.
I love Pennant Roberts.
Yes, very, always managed to sort of like do some blind casting and like rewrite parts for women and stuff when no parts existed. Louise Jameson loved him. He had written the story called Aranella, which I think is based somewhere. I know there's also no My Dragons of Fear. I'm reading this off the web. This is not from memory, folks. But I think he kept trying to peddle this to subsequent scriptwriters, and they kind of turned it down because it wasn't quite fitting the Celtic folklore and stuff was not quite befitting the new scientific initiative that Christopher Hamilton Bidmead was putting forward. So it never really got as far
Alas.
as it went. Yeah. January 10th, 1996, Paul McGann is announced to the press as the 8th Doctor.
What a day.
Wasn't it, though? I wonder what went into production that was, because I think they started shooting it in late January in Vancouver.
I'm curious if the press cared in 1996. Yeah, whatever.
I think they did, because it's Doctor Who.
I mean, the British press, I'm sure did.
Yeah.
Yes, but I bet you the American press are like, what the hell is that?
I have no idea when I heard about it. I just remember I was very excited, but it probably took some time to filter to me.
I don't remember where.
In college, as I was.
Yeah, I was in college too, and
not paying attention to much news. I'll tell you that.
I first went on the internet in 1995 to look for Doctor. I was like, oh, there's this thing called the internet. I went to the library and I looked on the internet. It's like, oh, there's got to be a Doctor Who thing, and that's where I found literally Outpost Gallifrey. And it said that, oh yeah, there's going to be a Doctor Who movie coming. And I said, what? Bring it back, Doctor Who.
I think I found out about a Records Doctor Who, which, by the way, is the worst possible place to find out anything. So,
actually, one of my best friends, who I'm still good friends with, who was one of my friends still in college, since kindergarten, really. One of the biggest Doctor Who fans I know, and he was on Rick Art's Doctor Who at the time. So maybe I did find out pretty close to this because he probably like immediately called me up and told me.
Paul McGann, whoever that guy is.
Yeah, who's that?
The guy from Withnell and I at the time. That's all we knew him from.
Except we didn't.
No, he was the Horatio Hornblower in the...
I wouldn't have known that either.
I know that, but in general.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known that either.
I don't know anyone. Just leave it at that.
Full stop.
Leave it at that. On to January 11th. Debut broadcast of the Daleks, episode 4, The Ambush. Happened on January 11th, 1964. Doctor Who surely is a lot more... This is the rocket... that the Daleks were at this point. It was happening at that time in 1964. 1965, the BBC orders 9 further episodes for Doctor Who's second production block and guarantees a third production block as well, ensuring that the program will return for season 3. I love how every we'll give you another few episodes and another few episodes. It just keeps getting strung along.
Yep. But it worked. It worked. Although in that same year, Mervyn Pinfield officially stepped down as Doctor Who's associate producer and was not replaced.
No.
I love how they rephrase it. He is not replaced.
Yes.
No.
It sounds very serious and newsy.
Well, they didn't need him anymore, really, because he was brought in to sort of because Verity Lambert was a young, inexperienced producer, and so they thought, let's put somebody who sort of knows the nuts and bolts of TV production, and he was gradually sort of less and less needed, essentially. Directed Space Museum and was going to direct Galaxy 4, but had to bow out because of illness, and he died a year later, 1966.
Alas.
Was played by Jeff Rawle in An Adventure in Space and Time.
That's right.
Who we just saw in A Midsummer Murders. So there. There's your connection there. Anything else jumping out at you on January 11th? I know there's a couple things for me.
We've got a couple. It's just interesting sometimes to see the patterns that emerge.
Right.
We've got episode 3 debuting of The Crotons, Robot,
right,
Castrovalva. It was January 12th was a good day for episode 3 of Multipart Serials.
I suppose so, because seasons would, although the Troughton one didn't begin on the beginning of January, but
I quite like the Crotons and Robot and Castrovalva. So
Robot, yeah.
And Time Flight, which is recorded, and the Arc of Infinity debuted on
I like
January 11th.
Well, I prefer Time Flight to Arc of Infinity. I don't care.
It's true, you do.
I really do.
Terrence Dicks is commissioned on January 11th, 1977 to write The Vampire Mutations.
Is that what eventually became...
I would assume so, yeah.
State of Decay? Yeah. Cool. It was taken off because the BBC decided, you're going to look like you're sending up our high budget adaptation of Dracula, which is happening around the same time. And so it got punted. Terrence Dicks decides, okay, fine, I'll write some dumb thing about cabbage in a lighthouse, and it'll turn out to be one of the greatest Doctor Who stories of all time. And eventually it shows up 3 years later.
I have a question about 1989.
All right.
Rona Munro is commissioned to write the final 2 episodes of Survival.
Yeah.
Had they just commissioned her for the first 2 episodes and then...
First episode,
episode, right, because it's the 3. Yeah.
How is this looking, basically? Write us the first script.
I had forgotten that it was 3 parts. It makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess it was her first.
Thank you for answering my question.
Doctor Who, right? So, yeah.
Yeah.
And then she came back and did a lovely job with Eaters of Light.
Eaters of Light, way back when. And was on a Radio Free Skaro panel at Gallifrey One.
That's right.
In recent years. I don't remember which year it was because they all blend together.
There's a lot of years.
Yeah. 2008, Russell T Davies begins writing Journey's End. You can tell this because in the writer's tale, it's basically a diary of what happened. So, that day he starts writing Journey's End, which was broadcast 3 days later. No, it wasn't. Journey's End wasn't the one that was speed written, was it?
I mean, it sounds like he speed wrote a number of episodes, but
Midnight, I know.
For sure.
Okay, so,
To be fair to RTD, 2011 recording for A Good Man Goes to War, which is basically Moffat's Journey's End when you get right down to it.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Anyway.
Kind of thing. Anyway, anything else on January 11th jumping out at you? If not, we can move on.
Nope.
All right, January 12th in the old Timelash here. John Pertwee is contracted for season 11, which would turn out to be his final season.
In 1973.
1973, January 12th. So what is that? I'm just thinking here. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't remember when they started recording that, but I didn't say anything, Siri. Why does it do this? I don't know. Anything else jumping out at either of you on
my suspicion is that Pertwee sounds enough like Siri that it responds. that's my guess.
No, it's I can't even say the word. The thing that's not seasoned. I can't if I say it.
Yes.
The watch is going to go
Shlomo.
crazy.
Just call it Shlomo.
Yeah.
I'm just noticing again. I'm interested in patterns because human brain. Episode 4 of The Horns of Nimon and Castrovalva.
Episode 4.
Yeah.
Same day.
Yeah. Just different years.
Identical episodes too. That's the thing. You'd have a hard time telling those apart.
Mm-hmm.
I keep noticing that David Fisher keeps getting done dirty because he's commissioned to write the Gamble with Time, which may or may not have become a thing. But he seems like he keeps getting commissioned and not getting stuff made.
Gamble with Time eventually became City of Death. So
all right. Okay. So I guess it did become something.
It did very much became a thing. Yeah,
wow.
It was set in like Monte Carlo or something like that, and there was a lot more gambling involved because 1970s and they rewrote it all to become one of the most successful Doctor Who stories of all time.
In 2020, it was the debut broadcast of Orphan 55, which I liked better than most people I know.
I did too. Mm-hmm. Everyone else hated it. Everyone
I didn't
else
hate it. I just didn't care.
Yeah.
Indifferent.
I'll get to that one close soon enough.
I want some Cheetos.
Why Cheetos?
Because in Orphan 55, it's the hilarious scene with Ryan like getting this like a little pack of cheesies or whatever they are, and it's like infected with a virus, and he just jumped. Oh my god, his physical acting was so funny in that scene. It was like his physical acting, like kind of in the background in a lot of scenes. Is really just like not talked about enough because he's so good.
I agree. There's a bit. There's a bit in which I just watched, Arachnids in the UK, when he's sort of looking around in the background.
And is that the one where he's making like shadow puppets on the wall?
Yes, he is.
Oh god, I love it
Toast
so
and Cole.
much. Toast and
Underrated.
Cole, bravo.
Underrated.
Anyway, so anyway, Orphan 55, and now I need to go buy some Cheetos.
That's fair. Folks, it was there was just going to be some excuse to go buy some Cheetos. This just happened to be the one that won out.
I love them so much.
Your American is showing. Cheetos,
hey, I was excited to try Hawkins Cheesies, and then I tried Hawkins Cheesies. I am sorry.
She doesn't like Hawkins Cheesies, folks.
Yeah, it's not salty and fake and cheap and artificial enough for me. My American is showing. It's true.
Warren, do you have an opinion on Hawkins Cheesies?
I don't think I've ever had them. I'm not a real Cheesies fan in the first place.
No, I wasn't either. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
I mean, it for Americans, imagine a crunchy Cheeto that is crunchier, like crunchy, almost hard to the point of being hard, and tastes like actual cheese instead of the fakey cheese that's on. It tastes like more like real cheese, which for me ain't a great thing.
Here's my British heritage showing. I like Ripple chips because they add a bit of variety to a plain chip. That's my Brit showing. So.
I also like Ripple chips.
Everyone loves Ripple chips.
Dull but bumpy. There you go.
January 13th. Why is that day ringing a bell? Oh, it's Conor McDavid's birthday. That's why.
You're getting your hockey and Doctor Who.
I am getting my hockey and Doctor Who mixed up a little bit. January 13th. Marco Polo is being recorded at Ealing Film Studios, which is most likely Marco Polo's journal stuff. I think was mostly recorded at Ealing Film Studios, which will play over the next 7 weeks. What else happened here? Anything else jumping out at you as I look through stuff?
One of greatest moments in Doctor Who history, 1984, debut broadcast of Warriors of the Deep.
I love that story. I think it's really good.
I do too. The story is great. The execution not so much.
But yeah, it is infamous in Doctor Who history for very good reasoning.
Michael Grade watches that and go, "What are we doing?
Yep.
Why are we having this on BBC One?"
That wasn't episode 1 though, was it?
It was. I don't know when he started watching it, but he was pretty upset by it all.
Yeah.
And that's probably why it led to him canceling it the next year.
Yep. Which is, he probably wasn't watching it closely with an eye to the writing and the characterization and the amazing. It's such a good story.
I read the book over and over and over again. It is a really good story.
Mm-hmm.
I think the sets are amazing. They might be a little.
They are amazing. They are overlit in terms of television production,
Yeah.
but I maintain that they are not overlit in terms of what would actually be the case if you were living in an underground sea base. You
that's a
would
good
have
point,
bright lights because
Yeah.
you need
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a lot of thoughts about Warriors of the Deep.
I cannot wait to get to this one on Lazy Doctor Who in
Yeah.
2029 at this current rate. But yeah, I've often said Margaret Thatcher canceled Doctor Who because
Right.
it was the Warriors of the Deep had to be rushed into production 2 weeks early or lose its studio booking because Margaret Thatcher called a snap election to capitalize on the popularity after the Falklands War.
Yep.
This is literally a thing, Warren. You're laughing.
this
This
is
is
for reals.
literally a thing. And so the Merca wasn't ready. The costumes weren't ready. The sets maybe kind of were ready, but they had to be rushed a little bit. And therefore, it was because of that Michael Grade watched it, said this is crap. We're canceling it, and it got canceled.
But you know what?
No,
The
the reason.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I was going to say the reason I'm laughing is twofold. One, because it sounds like the kind of thing you would make up. Because
Yep.
you have done this on many occasions.
Yeah.
Also, while you were telling me about Warriors of the Deep, I was thinking, I was coming up with my own fanfic of Stephen making things up, which is that James Cameron saw Warriors of the Deep, said, I can do better than that, and made The Abyss in 1989.
You may
Anyway, go
well
on,
laugh. You may well laugh, Warren, but I do believe, some people do believe, this is not just me, that Ridley Scott saw Ark in Space, and that inspired him to make, or was in his mind when he made Alien, because there are some similarities there. And we all know that Ridley Scott was almost the designer of the Daleks back in 1963.
Yep.
So
Yeah, that
I
part
mean,
is 100%
fanfic
true.
Jenga is fun.
it is fun, you know? You never know what people are going to
Anyway,
watch.
sorry, Eric.
Yeah, the Beatles were watching Out of the Unknown when they were making Let It Be, the album. They were frustratingly not watching the Crotons, which was on
Sadly.
Saturday nights around the same time.
Or if they were, they weren't talking
They weren't
about it.
talking about it on the recordings on Peter Jackson's documentary.
But I was just
Yeah.
going to say that, had Margaret Thatcher not called that snap election and all of those things had not happened and
Right.
Doctor Who was not canceled when it wouldn't have come back in the way that it did. And we wouldn't have Russell T Davies coming back again in the
Right.
way that he is now and making the show whatever it is he's going to make of it. So it all
Exactly.
worked out okay because here we are on a podcast in the year of
Yeah, we met.
2023.
We met.
I
Yeah.
would not have met this man. I would not be sitting in this building. I would not be in this country
Yep.
if not for all of those things. Like it's ridiculous. You think about the butterfly effect and it's like it sounds silly, but really so many particular things have
Yep.
to happen in order to make whatever is going on
So much.
be going on.
On Connor McDavid's birthday, I think about all the things like the year the Oilers
Unrelated to any of this.
Oilers stunk for 10 years. They made the Stanley Cup final in 2006 and lost, and then probably coasted on to think that we're only one player away from winning the cup again, and thus we sucked. But because of all that, Connor McDavid's now an Oiler.
Yep.
And I work for the Oilers. So
Yep.
so I
All
will
of these things.
I will take all of it, all the strife, all the badness, all the Mercas lead to better things, is what I mean to say here,
Yes.
folks.
I think my version of this is I went into TV because of Doctor Who and I got the hell out of TV and became a journalist, but it's a much better profession.
There you go.
So thanks, Doctor Who, I guess, somehow.
Exactly.
And you're also here talking to us, which I'm pretty
That's
happy
true.
about.
Right. Exactly.
Well, thank you.
Let's move on to our last day in this week's edition of the Timelash, which is January 14th. Happy birthday, Gemma Redgrave, who
Oh,
played
yay.
Kate Stewart,
She is great.
and was in Doctor Who most recently. I wonder if she'll be back again, because we know Unit's there
Unit was
in the trailer, so...
that'd be awesome. I would be very, very happy.
This is kind of fun. I want to mention this because it's right up our alley. Malcolm Hulke, 1974, January
yes.
14th, lodges a formal protest of the decision to air Invasion of the Dinosaurs Episode 1. Spoilers, by the way, Eric. I haven't watched this one yet. Under the title Invasion. Both Barry Letts and BBC head of serials Ronnie Marsh subsequently apologize. Because they didn't want to spoil the fact that there are dinosaurs in it, you see.
I don't know what Ronnie Marsh sounds like, but in my head canon, he's like, "Oh, my dear fellow, I do apologize for this flub, this error, this lapse in judgment. My
And
good sir."
he was mad because there had already been an invasion, or he was mad just because that's not the actual title, or what is he?
I think it's just it just wasn't what he wrote as the title of the thing. It was called Invasion of the Dinosaurs. He called it that. I don't think he was concerned that, wait a second, there's a Trouton cereal called The Invasion.
That's what I would have been upset about, but that's me.
Well, it also began the fan rumor that went on for years that the reason that episode 1 of Invasion of the Dinosaurs was wiped is because someone thought it was Invasion Part 1 and wiped
maybe.
it.
Who knows? It wouldn't surprise me, given what I know about television.
Yeah. Even today, even that episode is like, moderately colorized on the DVD when it came out. I imagine by the time that the Blu-ray comes out, the technology will have increased and they might just colorize it a bit better. But that was missing. I remember, Warren, you know that you probably do too, Erica, growing up. The omnibus version starts with episode 2, and it's just Sarah and the doctor in the back of the Jeep, and we don't know what's going on.
Wow.
And you're right. I'm just like, I never noticed. Anyway.
But now I love the location footage because I know how they got away with it with the 116mm camera and the director. And that was it.
And no film permit. Patty Russell, man.
Yeah, just guerrillaing it. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Love it.
Love
She's
it.
so great.
She is great. All right. That's it. That's it for...
No, there's one more.
What do you got? What do you got?
This is just for
What do you
Warren.
got?
In
What do you got?
1977, Bob Barker and Dave Martin are commissioned to write The Invisible Enemy. I wasn't going to let that go by without
Underrated.
For Warren.
Come on. It's great. I love Invisible Enemy.
I
know
is
it's
delightful.
not good. I don't care.
Right.
It's fun.
Good and delightful are two very different words, and they're both important.
It's true.
Also, it has given us, it has at least given me, ample opportunity over the last 3 years of this plague to throw pictures of the swarm on social media.
That's true.
It also gave us K9, whom I love.
Yeah.
We watched K9 and Company the other night. It was great.
It's better than you think it's going to be.
I love it.
And also worse at the same time.
Yeah,
but,
both.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is kind of weird. Anyway. Thank you for the addendum there.
You're welcome.
Erica.
It's very important.
Well done. Invisible
I
Enemy
agree
must be represented here.
Yeah. Damn right it should.
Yep. Okay, so let's rattle off some audio stuff and get the hell on with our day. Coming, we know so little about this. Chris has put this in the news list because he likes to go through Amazon to see what's coming from Doctor Who audio in the future. The Lagoon Monsters, written by Gary Russell, who booked his Gallifrey One flight the other day. I saw that on Twitter because he's come to Gallifrey One. It's a 10th Doctor audio original coming out October 5th, 2023. Not even a cover ready for it yet. But you can pre-order it on amazon.co.uk. A whole host of Big Finish stuff has been announced over the past week and a bit. The Third Doctor Adventure with the return of Jo Jones is back. That's coming next month.
Cool.
February 2023. The Sixth Doctor Adventures Purity Unleashed is coming out in May of 2023. 2 Doctor Who stories based on the original scripts of Genesis of the Daleks and The Ark in Space, respectively, are coming out as audio adaptations.
The Ark in Space or The Ark?
The Ark in Space.
Oh, okay.
Started as Doctor Who and The Ark.
Okay.
By John Lucarotti, and they're like golf balls and stuff and all sorts of strange weirdness. I'm looking forward to see how producer Simon Guerrier got on with that, because he produced both of those. Those are coming out in May and June, respectively. And Doctor Who and the Fifth Doctor Adventures in the Night are coming out in September of 2023.
Wow.
There's your Big Finish rundown.
Before we get to the next thing, I have 2 Big Finish shout-outs. They had just recently had a sale, which may still be going on. I bought Doctor Who Voyage to Venus, which is the Sixth Doctor and Jago and Lightfoot, and it is a delight. And I also, and this is expressly aimed at you, Stephen, it was like £3. It was ridiculous how cheap it was.
Oh, wow.
Star Cops, The Stuff of Life for $3, or whatever the equivalent is. 6 hours and 28 minutes worth of Star Cops.
Man, that's like...
I don't know if I'm ever going to listen to this, because 6 hours and 28 minutes worth of Star Cops, but I bought it, so there you go.
It is broken up into episodes rather conviently.
I would assume so, yes.
Yeah.
Let me just click on it. No, it isn't. It's all one big long thing. Okay, all right.
Is it really? Well, really? Wow.
That who knows? Maybe that's just the Big Finish apps not being correct, because 6 hours seems crazy.
That does seem like a long thing, but well, that's cool. I know. I'm looking over there and I see a Star Cops thing that's given to me by Andrew Smith as well. So. Because Star Cops is great, written, of course, by the late Chris Boucher. So a couple things from late in 2022, which I think are worthy of mention here. So there was a wonderful Twitter thread from Doctor Who cast and crew, which basically broke down. It wasn't an exhaustive list, but it's it's pretty much complete as far as I can
regardless.
tell. Basically, everyone who worked on Doctor Who is related to or married to other people who were also working on Doctor Who.
Or in some cases were the life partner of, because it was legally not able, they were not able to get married.
Yeah, good point.
That's true. The thread is amazing. There is so much, and there's pictures of everyone too, and it's just like, holy crap. Just when you think you've got to the end of the thread, it just continues to go. You hit the show replies, and there's a whole bunch of other ones in there. It is giant. It is so worth it, though. It is so wonderful to see. Like, I had no idea. Just scrolling through this random one. Annette Robertson, who played Anne in the Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Eve, was married to John Hurt from 1962 to 64.
Wow.
Right? And there are also like deep dive ones. Like I randomly stopped on one that Arnold Chazin, who played scientist John Stacy in the Moon Base, is the father of Debbie Chazin, better known to Doctor Who fans as Foon von Hoff in Voyage of the Damned. Speaking of Voyage of the Damned,
Good gravy.
Yeah.
All I can think of when I see this is that Always Sunny in Philadelphia meme with the guy in front of the board full of string. That's basically what this is.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
It really is. It really is. Anyway, do click the link in the show notes. Mm-hmm. It's really, really something. I love. I spent a long time looking through it, just like I'm doing right now, actually. Mm-hmm. Once again, every time I stumble across somebody who's like, life partners, at Alan Rowe, who was Dr. Evans in the Moon Base, and the Earl of Wessex in The Time Warrior, Lord Skinsdale in Horror of Fang Rock, and Gareth in Full Circle, and Jeffrey Baildon, who played Orgonon in The Creature from the Pit, life partners. Like, I just wonder how many other relationships were there that we didn't know about because they had to keep them hidden at the time. It's just like the fact that there was probably even more than this thread that keeps like, I haven't even hit the bottom of it yet, and I've been scrolling this whole time.
British drama. I guarantee there are more.
Yeah, but and this is just Doctor Who too, so yeah,
fascinating,
epic.
Nice work at Der Who cast crew.
Der cast crew is
cast crew.
Cast
you
crew.
Say
sorry.
it right.
Der Who cast crew.
That's the handle.
Say that fast 5 times.
Yeah,
you probably could, actually.
Just amazing. And finally, Toby Haydock does at the end, the harbinger of death is Toby Haydock, puts together a nice in memoriam video of Doctor Who, people who we lost in the course of the past year, or whose deaths we learned of in the past year. And so that is all that came out on New Year's Eve, but it's linked in the show notes if you missed it then. All right, that's it. That is it, Erika. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you for having me.
For waking up super
early
for you.
I woke up cracking early for this.
Early.
You're welcome.
But you don't have another chance to talk about Doctor Who anymore, so on a podcast.
Yeah, not until you finish your 5 Doctor Who things that you're watching, and we can go back to lazy Doctor Who again.
That's true. That is true.
Don't act like your household discussion is nothing but Doctor Who, because it probably is.
Well, I mean, hey, we talk about the Sandbaggers sometimes.
We do.
Warren.
Okay, well, all right.
Try to vary it. Come on, Warren. We're not.
Hey, I don't talk to anybody. I live by myself, so I talk to the wall about Doctor Who.
That's true.
You can talk to that lovely crow who stops by on your balcony from time to time.
He's awesome. The crow bro is pretty cool. I like that guy. I get a weird amount of delight when he just shows up on that specific place on my balcony for whatever reason.
I am trying to make friends with the magpies that live around here, and so far I haven't had a lot of success, but I'm working on it.
Nice work, the bird people of Alcatraz. That is good stuff. All right, folks, that's it for this week here on this old podcast. Next week, I don't know, probably more news and stuff. Who knows? We are starting to probably bank some commentaries and miniscopes over the course of 2023, perhaps in celebration of the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who. But also, let's face it, this might be the last 11-month block of no Doctor Who that we'll ever have.
I wouldn't say ever.
There might be a lot of Doctor Who and Doctor Who spin-offs and other things coming after November of 2023. So enjoy this. I say downtime. We've been talking for 75 minutes about Doctor Who and nothing else. So look for that in your Patreon feed. There's a commentary for the Lie of the Land coming early next week on Tuesday for our Patreon supporters. If you want to support us too, patreon.com/Radio Free Skaro. We're going to try and bulk up some of the extra content there over the course of the year, which will then come out on the regular feed later on.
So Stephen can buy more Blu-rays.
More Blu-rays.
More shelving units.
for those Blu-rays. So.
And possibly a second apartment to put the shelving units in order to house these Blu-rays.
True.
Listen, you can't be the only one who's fantasized about, of course I never will because I'm living in downtown Vancouver and this is not feasible,
right.
But buying a second apartment just for this crap.
There's actually a wall between our apartment and the studio next door that is technically not a load-bearing wall. And when this building was built, like for many years, there was an option to knock down that wall and put in a door or a doorway. And I'm like, can we still do that?
It'd be like staying at a hotel and having two families next to each other.
Yeah, we have thought about it.
Yep.
I thought about it.
Yeah, so please, patreon.com/ what is it, Radio Free Skaro?
Radio Free Skaro. Help us
don't
knock
do that
down a
in
wall.
Vancouver. There's no Patreon could ever possibly
No.
come anywhere near the housing idiocy of this place.
True.
Fair.
All right, folks, that's it for this week. Until next time, I'm Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Erika in Edmonton.
So long for now.
You've been listening to Radio Free Skaro. Find us online at radiofreeskaro.com. Follow us on Twitter and Tumblr at Radio Free Skaro. Subscribe to us on iTunes and donate to the show at patreon.com/Radio Free Skaro. Thank you.